When talking about marketing strategies during hard markets, meet with your customers. Hey, welcome to the Insurance Buzz. We are your hosts, Michael and Courtney Weaver. And today we're going to be talking about what you should be doing from a marketing perspective, even though you can't compete on price.
This is a doozy. This actually was a question from somebody in our community. They asked, how do we market with this current sales cycle? So let's break this down.
Let's do it.
So are we talking about current prospects?
I would say
new business acquisition?
Prospects. Yeah, I mean, marketing. So how are you attracting new people to you?
So I think one of the easiest things from a marketing standpoint that I would suggest is piggybacking off of what the carriers are doing and what they're saying. So recently I've seen a shift where it's no longer talking about saving money. There's no longer rate conversations. Your carriers are now spending billions of dollars advertising the same thing. Bundling. They're even using that word bundling. Mm-hmm. So I would say the first thing when it comes to marketing and your new business acquisition, I would pay attention to where advertising dollars are being spent and the language that they're using, because they're getting the customer familiar with that language. So that would be the first thing. All of your messaging, all of your marketing should be focused on bundling and using the word bundle.
Okay. What else?
Well, I mean, I love bringing new business into the door. And I think that that's incredibly important to keep the lights on. But can we talk about the elephant in the room? Your current book of business? If I were to ask you right now, is it easier to sell somebody who doesn't know who you are or to sell somebody that's in your current book of business? Who is that?
For sure. Current book
of business. So I think, especially in the industry, it's it has been very transactional, like get them in, get to the next one. I have numbers to hit. I have expectations that are going up. I have bills to pay, all of that. But I think if we slow down for just a second and pay attention to the ones that are already doing business with us, that's really going to insulate us through this market, this hard sales cycle of when was the last time you met with your customers? How many single line policies do you have in your book of business? I mean, now they're familiar with the word bundle. So why aren't we running lists and going through all of those and saying, hey, you're missing some discounts?
Yeah.
So yes, I think it's important to market and to set yourself apart and remember that you are your own individual brand. Your carrier has its own brand. You can use that to your advantage to kind of piggyback on the words and the language that they're using. Obviously, create your ideal customer, who you want to speak to, what problem you want to solve, what makes you different. All of these things you can use in your marketing. But customers deserve just as much attention as prospects.
For sure.
So let's start paying attention to them.
Yeah. I mean, by meeting with your current prospects, calling them, scheduling appointments, talking about multi-line opportunities, this is going to be an easy way to get really easy sells and help customers out. You're going to save them money because of the discount structure, obviously. But not only that, the number one marketing strategy that everyone wants is how do we get more referrals?
Yeah.
So how do I receive more referrals? Well, number one, I'd have to ask myself, am I referable? Am I somebody that customers would even want to tell their friends about, their neighbors about, their family about? And you have to be honest with yourself here. If you simply wrote someone and saved them money and never did anything after that, you're not referable. You didn't build a relationship with them. They don't know who you are. You've never established a face-to-face connection with them. Why would they send anyone to you? Because you can save them some money. Mm-hmm. Who cares about saving money? No one cares about saving money. That's why we got into the situation we're in the first place right now with the current rate environment we're in. And I don't want to say no one cares about saving money, but
I would say that's not true. I think people do care about saving money, but I think that there are things that they value that come above that.
Okay, well, that's fair. You can hook people into a conversation by attracting them with, hey, I can save you money, or I've been able to save the last 9 out of 10 people I've talked to money. But money should not be the priority in the entire conversation. Your job as the insurance professional is to guide them and lead them into a conversation around their problems and struggles. And money doesn't typically have anything to do with that. 86% of people are willing to pay more for something if they find more value in it and they've had a better experience. Insurance is no different. But what we've been taught over the last 15 to 20 years is a transactional selling environment of just get them in on price. And if they leave you on price, who cares? Mm-hmm. You can build the relationship, but that's the disconnect is we are getting them in on price. Mm-hmm. Most agents are getting them in on price, but then there's no work after that being done to establish the relationship with the customer. So that's what I'm saying to do. If you want more referrals, you have to be referable. And that's why that's the number one question you should ask yourself is, am I even referable? Is my office referable? Is my team referable? Are we doing the things that make us referable? And the number one thing you can do is establish a face-to-face connection. And we live in a world where technology makes this easier than ever. Phone appointments do not count. I'm sorry, but phone appointments do not count. You either need to be meeting with your customer in person or you need to be meeting with them virtually every single year, once a year. It has to be holistic in nature. And you have to be forming that relationship with the customer. That's how you're going to be referable. So when talking about marketing strategies during hard markets, meet with your customers. Mm-hmm. Not only are you going to develop a deeper relationship, you're going to increase the retention, and more than likely, you're going to sell deeper into that household a majority of times. And even if it's only 30% of people you meet with, that's a 30% increase in production. Think about that. If you meet with 10 people and out of every 10 people, you meet 10 households, mm-hmm. you're closing 30% of those with a new product, typically financial services related. That's pretty good.
You also establish yourself as the go-to expert. So other people will be referring you even more business. Yeah. Regardless of if they do business with you or not, if you start to establish yourself as that person, educating, empowering the customer, this actually came full circle for us. Last week, I had a Facebook message. Somebody messaged me and said, hey, I have a question about my insurance. I'm like, do you want me or do you want MW? And he said, either one. I'm like, okay, I'll have Michael give you a call. This was a customer of ours from the very beginning because we met with all of our customers. We were in a small town and we wanted to make sure that we did our job. We didn't want to ever catch anyone at the grocery store and something had happened and we didn't do our job. So reach out to us. We're not insurance agents anymore. He's with a completely different carrier in a completely different town, but had a question and wanted to bounce a few things off him. That happens all the time. Yeah. Because we treated people, and what we're encouraging you to do is to treat people like people and establish a genuine human connection and educate them. You don't constantly have to be selling them on something, but educate them about what their financial plan looks like with and without these products. Yep. They'll trust you. They will.
Yeah, the only reason you wouldn't want to be meeting with your customers right now, and this is a maybe, is if your entire model is a build, scale, sell model. And even then, you could make the argument that you do still need to be meeting with them because that's going to increase the retention, which would make the book a healthier book of business because there would be multiple lines. But I'll give you that. If your model is a build, scale, sell model, maybe not. You could probably shut this episode down right now. But I'm gonna talk about some more marketing strategies. Okay, so referrals. You want some organic referrals, be referable, meet with your current customers. 2, speaking of referrals, affiliate partners or centers of influence, like we like to call them in the insurance space. Other spaces call them affiliate partners, but either way, who can you establish relationships with that can send a business your way? Who are you currently doing business with that likes you, they love you, and they either, maybe they're a real estate agent, maybe they're a mortgage broker, maybe they own a car dealership, maybe they own apartment complexes, maybe they're a real estate investor. Who are you currently working with that absolutely loves you? And maybe they don't love you. Maybe they don't even know who you are. That's a problem. Like they do business with you, but they don't actually know you. These would be the first individuals I would be reaching out to establish relationships with. Those individuals that you establish a relationship with them, they already do business with you. They like you. They believe in your product. They're paying you every single month. How can you help their customers? If they're a mortgage broker, how can you help them? How can you help the real estate agents? If they're a car dealer, a real estate investor, those were some of my favorites to form relationships with. And that's not one that you typically hear about, but I loved real estate investors because real estate investors, they know other real estate investors. And now with social media, they're in all these little cool groups that they can literally shout you out and you can gain 20, 30, 40 customers overnight. Like, those are the type of affiliate partners or centers of influence I'm going to be really trying to develop relationships right now. So during hard markets and even during easy markets, everything we are talking about right now, it's an extremely hard market in the insurance space right now, especially in the personal lines environment. The auto market, the homeowners market, they are disasters. All right. But the same strategies we're talking about in this episode are the same strategies you should have all the time. Who doesn't want more referrals? Who doesn't want to be meeting with their customers to form that genuine connection? Who doesn't want referral partners sending you business on a daily, weekly, monthly basis? We all want that as business owners. That's how every business is built. It doesn't matter what type of business you own. Like, this is how businesses are built. But you got to do the work. You got to form the relationship. How can you help them? So that is a marketing strategy right now I would be focusing on because this market's not going anywhere anytime soon. So it's going to be a hard market for the next 24 months minimum. So centers of influence. You got anything to add to that?
I think we keep stacking, and I know you're going to get into some new business strategies, but it comes back to the customer experience. Everything comes back to the customer experience, because if you want referrals, you're talking about being referable. What does your customer experience look like? The first thing I would do is I would check the customer journey. What do my sequences look like for retention? What do my sequences look like for follow-up? When was the last time that I met with these people? Again, I would run lists on single line products, but I would also look at my top 100. When was the last time I talked to them? Said thank you for their business. These are all basic things, but I think we can't overlook this. As fast as technology has moved, we can leverage technology to enhance relationships where most of the time we just use technology to replace it. Yep.
Well, and I even look back on our book of business. So about that 3-year mark, all policies we were writing either came from cold outreach, which cold outreach we almost stopped at that point because we had so many referrals coming in. So we were doing 200 policies a month. That was all referral-based business. I don't know any business owner, doesn't matter what you own, but let's just talk the insurance space right now, that wouldn't want 200 policies, items, whatever you call it, a month off of straight referrals. You're not paying a dime for this business. Not only is it extremely profitable, but it's typically also better business. It's stickier. The households are bigger. All right. Like that's extremely powerful, but it was because of the work we did years 2 and 3 to get there. So and look, I just brought up cold outreach. I think cold outreach, the phones work better now than they've ever worked before. The average person is on their phone like 4 hours a day, and that's just on social media. So the individual, the consumer you're trying to target is on their phone all the time. They're on their phone nonstop. cold outreach works if you are willing to make the calls.
Yeah.
Anyone that tells you the phone is dead is because, one, they either have this secret sauce, silver bullet solution to sell you, all right, or they just didn't take the time to do the work to get good at cold outreach. And that's why they say it doesn't work, because they suck at it. Let's just be honest. And I'm not saying cold outreach is fun. One of our most downloaded episodes is the cold calling episode, where I was like, I'm not insane. I'm not a crazy person. It's not that I love making cold calls and people telling me to go pound sand all day long. Like, that's not fun. But until you establish a prospecting funnel that is full and you have enough referrals coming in, you have to do something from a prospecting standpoint. You are in sales. Part of sales is prospecting. Unless you as the business owner are going to have just a prospecting team that you hire, and that's all they do is prospect to drive leads for your sales team, for closers. But if you're like a majority of owners I talk to, your sales team is also your prospecting team. And so cold outreach is going to be part of this unless you have leads coming into you from referrals and centers of influence like we just talked about.
Yeah, but that's still, and we talked about this in that episode, and I'll link it in the show notes, but you still have to get comfortable on the phone.
You do.
There's no way around that. You're not going to sell policies via text message or email.
Oh, hell no.
It doesn't work. You know how easy it is to be like, oh, thank you. I'll get back to you via email.
What we should have done is what marketing you shouldn't be doing.
That should be the title of this episode. Emailing
quotes, ghost quoting, texting people the rate. This is all price driven. Like, you want to know why you get told no all day or why people ghost you is because you're not doing what it takes to establish a relationship in the first place to see what's even important to them.
Yeah.
That's all marketing is how do you talk to the person you want to attract?
Mm-hmm.
How are you talking to your ideal customer? Put yourself in the shoes. Put yourself in your shoes right now of the customer that you're trying to attract. Are you actually that concerned with saving that much money on your insurance? If your team called you today, I want you to really think about this. If your team called you today and you're shopping for insurance, are you buying from them? For real. Are you buying from them? Are you buying from somebody that, let's just pretend, and look, again, this is just what you were taught. So there's no shame here. Like, this is why I do what I do from a coaching and training perspective. This is why we started Weaver Sales Academy, because there's a huge gap between the corporate training and real world and what actually works. So this isn't your fault, but hey, Courtney, I've got great news for you. Your insurance quote came back and it was $250 a month. Are you buying from them? You don't know what you're buying. Most people are just hoping they save you money. Like, yes, if you have a cold outreach, number one, a cold call is in itself is something you have to work on. But then if that's the only thing your team knows how to do, oh my God, they're going to be frustrated. They're going to get tons of no's. They're going to hate their job. They're going to get burned out. So that's a conversation in itself for a different day and a different episode. But yeah, man, like, if you wouldn't buy from your team, why is anybody else? So, but cold outreach needs to be part of your marketing plan, period. Like, it still works. It still works in getting people interested in generating the curiosity. And I know a lot of you are leaving voicemails. And so one easy thing with a voicemail. So number one, like, if you call somebody and they don't answer, you call them right back. That's the double tap method. Think about yourself. If somebody calls you from a number you don't know, usually don't. I never answer it on the first time. If they call me right back, I'm like, oh, this may be serious. I better answer it. And if you leave a voicemail, it's short, sweet, to the point. Like, hey, Courtney, this is Michael Weaver from XYZ Insurance Company. Please give me a call back as soon as possible. Here's my number. Or you could use the hang up method. Hey, Courtney, this is Michael Weaver. My number is the reason I was giving you a call. Click. All right. So that's really good. But cold outreach needs to be part of it. The one thing we haven't mentioned yet is social media.
Oh, God.
Now, this is more of brand awareness versus direct marketing, but this is how you build your brand and this is how you create awareness for free.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So social media is really where you get to share who you are as a brand, what separates you, what makes you different, what makes you unique, and speak directly to your ideal customer. And we've talked about this before. Your ideal customer is who you want to do business with, their demographics, what they're interested in, what they value. Build that person. And I know your natural tendency is going to be, I want to sell to everyone. You don't actually want to sell to everyone. Your ideal customer is not 18 to 75. There is actually a key demographic that you work well with. It's just like milk saying, well, I sell milk and I want to sell milk to everyone. And then I raise my hand and say, yo, I can't do milk. I can't do the dairy. So everyone has a place of who you actually can speak to. And the more laser focused you get on that and say, I have unsweetened oat milk and I have these different flavors. Now I'm paying attention because I'm your what?
Question.
Yeah.
Do they make gluten-free milk? I don't know. Does milk need to be gluten-free?
Okay, I thought you were going to say, how do they milk those tiny oats? That's my running, like, I don't know why. I always think that in my head of like, how do they milk these tiny almonds?
Almonds are the same way.
I think they're pressed, but God, I digress. But that being more specific about who you're speaking to. Walk it up. We're working on the podcast right now. Get it together.
Get my shit together.
Get
all
your
right.
shit together. And the pain point. What is the problem that you solve? Yes, initially you can lead with, oh, I was able to save blah, blah, blah money. Mm-hmm. Sure, I'm interested. But there's a certain amount of money that you can say, oh, I was able to save this person X amount of dollars per month that I'm not even paying attention. You haven't gotten my attention on that. But if you are speaking to my specific pain point of, hey, I know you stay up at night wondering if your financial plan is going to carry you through retirement, I have a solution for you. I'm paying attention now. I am paying attention.
Dang. Yeah, if you're anything like me, you're counting down the days till retirement.
Absolutely, baby. Anyone that's listening is like, I thought you guys were already retired.
Shit.
It's coming. But I think that that's really important for social media. But you have to remember that social media is not a quick hit. Social media is for awareness. It's really to let your potential customer or your customer get a better sense of who you are. It's kind of like a peek behind the curtain. Now
we can talk about some direct marketing via social media, sliding up in people's DMs, straight cold outreach.
You can. Yeah.
You can do that. You can do that. I'm actually not totally opposed to that, actually.
Just don't make it sleazy or spammy.
100%. I'm not here to be you call it the hey girl. Like,
hey girl.
Yeah.
I haven't talked to you in 17 years, but I was wondering if you would it looks like life is great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't do that. Genuinely give a shit about people. That's going to be the underlying theme that you're always going to hear us talk about. I think even better than the sliding up in the DMs. I think that is great. But what I like to do more is social proof. Instead of me telling you how great I am, instead of me saying, hey, you should do business with me, I always recommend at least one day a week having some kind of social proof that's going out on your social media channels. So this is testimonials. This is what people are saying. This is Google reviews. I actually think that driving Google reviews is one of the best things that you can do.
Oh, your online office space is just as important. It may even be more important than your physical location. Okay. So I've given this example before, but it's worth repeating. You have a friend and she tells you that she has the best Chinese restaurant that you have to check out. You're like, okay, cool.
And then you get on Yelp.
My interest is piqued.
Yeah. Love Chinese food. Then you get on Yelp and you see that the latest review, somebody got food poisoning.
Ooh.
I am not going. I don't care that my bestie boo said, this is the best Chinese restaurant. Absolutely not. I am not risking 24 hours of my life. It's not happening. That's what we're talking about with reviews, how important they are.
Yep.
And on the flip side, you have your best friend who says, oh, I have this Chinese restaurant. You go and you check it out and it looks pretty decent online. And then you pull up and you're like, ooh, the window's bashed in. It's not in a great part of town.
Are we in the right place?
You're like, I don't think I'm going in. So it has to be, again, if we're talking about marketing, we're talking about the customer experience from beginning to end, because a customer becomes a customer when they are actually a prospect.
Yeah. Now, I will say that we've been to some hole in the walls, and those have been some of the best food we've ever had. I mean, you remember that place in Phoenix? That place was legit.
I don't think that was that bad though.
Yeah, that's true.
It wasn't like the bridesmaid scene where they had, like Brazilian.
All right. Here we go. So, I agree with everything you just said.
You should.
Your online office space it's critical. Mm-hmm. And social proof is actually more powerful. I don't know the exact stats, so I'm not gonna quote anything here, but there was a data point, a quote that social proof is actually more powerful than a referral.
I wonder why that is. I want to chew on that maybe over a dinner conversation.
I don't know.
People want to be
the only thing I can think of is when you have social proof, not only do you have one person telling you this, you have hundreds or thousands saying, I purchased from this individual and I had an amazing experience.
So it's like the crowd effect?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Like we don't trust one great person. We need 1,000 strangers on the internet to validate.
Like I said, I'm not quoting anything because I don't know the actual data or statistic, but I did see that.
Me, I want to know the psychology.
Hey, it could be fake news though. So that's why I'm just throwing it out there. I'm not quoting anything. Twitter? It probably was on Twitter.
This is
or what? What's that called now? X.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Delayed. Yeah.
What else can we do from a marketing perspective? So we talked about meeting with customers. We talked about referrals. We talked about affiliate marketing, centers of influence. We talked about cold outreach.
Social media.
We talked about social media. We talked about, and I want to give you an example because we didn't dive into this, is how to slide up in somebody's DMs without being hey girl, how you been? I haven't seen you in 17 years. You want some of that residual income we all want?
Okay, go. Let me hear it.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, hey, Courtney, this is Michael. I work at XYZ Insurance Company, and I noticed that you just purchased a home. I specialize in working with homeowners, and I'm not sure who you got that with, but I would love the opportunity to give you a free quote and make sure that all of your coverages are adequate. That easy.
What's the call to action on that? If you're interested, what?
Yeah.
Send me a message.
I just need a little bit of information from you. Would love to jump on a quick call with you if that works best. Let me know.
Okay.
So I'm going to assume the phone call versus trying to collect everything via text message or instant message. Yeah, DMs. So that's going to be my approach. Same thing if I see somebody that just had a baby. Hey, I work at XYZ Insurance Company. Notice you just had a baby. Congratulations. I actually specialize in working with new parents with their life insurance planning. Not sure what you currently have in place, but would love to just jump on a quick call with you if that works for you, if it's something you're interested in. Like, I'm not going to be wildly aggressive in this approach.
It's the arm movement.
Yeah. If you're watching us on YouTube, if you're not, you just saw me, like, I'm not going to be super aggressive on this because look, they haven't heard from me in 10 or 15 years. I'm not like, but the only way I actually help them is if I reach out to them. Like if we're just going to.
Yeah. The only way you actually help somebody and change their situation is if they buy from you.
Yeah. But the only way they buy from me is if I reach out in the first place. Yeah. And so I'm not going to be sleazy. I'm just going to say who I am. This is what I specialize in. I'd love to jump on a quick call with you. See what you got in place. Let me know.
Yeah.
Let me know. So we talked about social media. Anything else come into your mind?
No, I think this has been such a great conversation because we Really do. And it doesn't matter what business you're in. We're talking about insurance, but all businesses are always hyper-focused on the next sale.
Yeah.
Like where it's coming from, what am I doing? Instead of focusing, I get it that that's a huge part of business, but pay attention to what's already in your book of business, because that's really what insulates you in hard markets.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the other thing, like, and you hinted at this earlier, you're not marketing everyone, because if you're trying to talk to everyone, you're talking to no one. And so really try to determine who your ideal customer is. Who do you want to work with? 30 to 45-year-olds that are homeowners that have a couple kids in the household, 2 to 3 cars, make $150,000 to $250,000 a year. Like that's an example of an ideal customer avatar. So once you figure out who your ideal customer is, then how are you talking to them? Yeah. How are you marketing? How are you actually attracting this person? Community events, I think, is great right now as well. People are craving human interaction. I know a couple of agents that are absolutely crushing the community event space right now. And I think that that's an easy way to establish instant relationships with those in your community. They get to know who you are. Not only does it work as brand awareness, you can also pull some immediate quotes from that as well.
Mm-hmm. Collaboration is a beautiful thing.
Yep.
Yeah, I think this has been, I will refine a little bit when you talk about your ideal customer.
Yeah.
And you want to speak to them directly, you speak to their pain. You speak to the problem. You speak to the thing that keeps them up at night. All of your messaging should be geared towards that.
The retirement one was great. Yeah. And that's something that everybody's concerned about.
Straight up. I always feel like that my retirement plan's watching me. That's it. That is in my head, because I am an elder millennial and I want to make sure that my financial plan is solid. So that is something that I am focused on. Now, if you're talking to somebody who's at a different spot in the curve, maybe they're approaching retirement, they want to make sure that they have enough in retirement that they don't run out. Or a legacy. They're talking about passing to generations. So these are all different pain points that when you're talking about marketing, it's just so much bigger than price. Yes, you can use bundle, you can piggyback off of that, but let's get deeper into what's keeping them up at night.
Right now, millennials and Gen Zs have to be really worried that they may not be able to afford a home one day.
Yeah.
Home ownership. How can you be the person that makes sure that they have the ability to own a home one day because they've saved and invested and have enough money for that?
Or how to maximize their plan.
How to maximize their plan.
Have the budget conversation.
Yeah, you're talking about some deep pain points right now.
Yes.
But that is how you start a conversation. These are the things that are meaningful to a customer.
People want to be seen and heard.
This is how we change people's lives.
Yes. Get fired up.
You don't change people's lives by saving them a couple $100 on their auto insurance.
No. They need to know, if you want them to be a customer for life, they need to know that you actually understand who they are.
Yeah. And this starts from the initial conversation, by the way. You start a conversation with the end in mind.
Yes. That's why we're not hay grilling anyone. All right. This is good. High five me.
Woo-wee! If you enjoyed today's episode, let us know. Shoot us a text. If you have any amazing marketing ideas that you are absolutely crushing right now, text me the idea, 816-727-7610. I want to know because I want to be able to share it with everybody. All right. So let me know. I'm going to ask you some questions, but text me. Other than that, as always, time is your most valuable and important asset that we all have. And we appreciate you spending time with us today on The Buzz. Go out and make it great.